Hi friends, welcome to our identity series. This is a 10-part video series on what it looks like to live secure in our identity in Jesus Christ. What does it look like to live believing the truth and not the lies? What does it look like to know you're in right standing with God every day, no matter what? I want to encourage you to subscribe to this YouTube channel because that way you will not miss out on any videos in our 10-part series. Now, here's another episode of our identity series. Hope you enjoy it. Hi everyone, we're continuing our identity series today and we're looking at this subject, living secure from my identity. Living secure from my identity. There are so many people that go through life wrestling with insecurities. I know we've all had insecurities at some point in our lives, probably even this week, even today, we'll all encounter an insecurity. But then there are some people that really just live their life in a place of insecurity all the time. They are just constantly feeling insecure, they're constantly feeling inadequate, constantly feeling like a failure, constantly feeling like they don't measure up. And that place is such a place of unsettledness, such a place of feeling disappointed, such a place of unfulfillment. And that's not the place that we're supposed to live in. That's not the place that God designed us to live in, to constantly feel insecure, to constantly feel like, we're treading water, that we're not on a firm place. And this is not actually what Jesus intended for us. And sadly, wrong securities produce wrong decisions. Wrong securities produce wrong decisions. Where we have our security in the wrong place, we will make wrong decisions. Where our security is in what we look like, who people say we are, whether we deem ourselves successful, whether we deem ourselves smart enough. If we put our security in those things, we'll actually make wrong decisions. And I'd like to suggest, as I did in a previous video, that if we were to look at our own lives and examine where we've made, perhaps a bad decision, there's a good chance that that bad decision was connected with security in the wrong place. We had our security, we had our sense of worth in the wrong place. And what we need to go after, what we need to pursue is the truth of who we really are, and we then move to a place where we have our security in a correct belief in the truth. And I remember being a footballer in my early 20s, and I loved Australian football, still do, still support the team, Essendon in Australia, the Essendon Bombers. And I love Australian football, and I played for a number of years. And I remember some years ago playing on a very cold winter morning, and I was out on the field, and I was near the football, and my teammate was standing right in front of me, and he didn't know I was standing right behind him. And he, in a moment, suddenly threw his arms back like this, and with me standing behind him, it just clocked me in the nose, just whacked me straight in the nose. And I was in immense pain straight away, came off, blood was pouring out of my nose. Could tell for the rest of the day that my nose was not good, it was not in a good place. And went to the doctor the next day, and basically came to the doctor. She did an x-ray on my nose and said, "Yep, Matthew, you sure enough have broken your nose, and you've got a fracture across the top, and there's a break there, and it's going to take a little bit of time to heal." So I said, okay, that's what I thought, I expected that. When's the date, when's the time, and when's the location of my surgery? She said, surgery? I said, yeah. Tell me date, time, location, where's the surgery? You're not having surgery, you're going to be fine. I said, what? What? Aren't I going to have surgery? I've got a broken nose. My nose isn't straight. She says, no, you're going to be fine. It'll heal itself. And then she said this, "These things give us character." And I thought to myself, what? Don't talk to me about character. I didn't say this out loud, but I thought, don't talk to me about character. My nose isn't straight. I'm going to have maybe a crooked nose for the rest of my life. And anyway, she won that little internal battle. And I walked out of the doctor's office that day, just trying to fight the thoughts of I'm going to have a crooked nose for the rest of my life and look like a strange person, and try to embrace her mindset, which was, this gives me character. It's a funny story, but the truth is she was a much more secure person than I am. You see, in her eyes, a slightly crooked nose was actually giving me character, was making me unique. And in my eyes, a slightly crooked nose meant that I was a little bit inadequate or a little bit, damaged, if you will. The truth is that doctor was a much more secure person than me. Same situation, looked at from two totally different perspectives. And she was a much more secure person than I am. And I can tell you today, I would much rather be where she was that day. She saw it as not inadequacy, she saw it as character. And the reality is that we can look at the circumstances of life, we can look at our entire life in the eyes of we are loved, we are unconditionally loved, we are accepted, or we can look at the entirety of our lives and think inadequate, insufficient, not smart enough, not good enough, not good looking enough. The reality is, friends, is we need to look to the truth again of who we really are. We are in the age of the selfie. We are in the age of examining ourselves through the lens of society, the lens of society that says you need to be like this, the selfie age, you might call it. The reality is we need to come back to the Jesus image of who we are, who Jesus says we are, the Jesus voice, the Jesus conclusion of who we really are. What does Jesus say about us? If we live from who Jesus says who we are in a secure place. We live in a solid place there. When we live from who Jesus says we are in a secure place, and people and circumstances and breaks, if you will, can happen all day long, but we remain secure in who Jesus says we are. Let's not get our identity from the selfies that we take of ourselves, the photographs that people take of ourselves, the quick impressions that people make of us and then conclude from. Let's not get who we are from those voices, from those pictures of people, the pictures that people present of who they think we are. Let's not get it from our career. Let's not get it from whether we're good at academia, from music, from sport. Let's not get it from social media. Let's get it from who Jesus says we are. Let's get it from who the one that created us, designed us. Let's get it from Him. Let's get it from a solid rock of Jesus, His unconditional love, His voice that says you are valuable no matter what. And I wrote a story about your life. I wrote your beginning, I wrote your end, I wrote down a story about your life, and you're important. Let's get our value, our security in who we are from the story of Jesus and what He says and who He says we really are.